Hey, what's up? It's Kit. Time for another video. Today, we talk about the connections in Fast Jigs. We've done something similar in with slow jigging. So what we're doing here is just for consistency's sake because there is a difference. Okay, so we're gonna do this as fast as possible. I think we can do this shorter because it's pretty straightforward. Okay, and the same thing. It's literally the same thing as slow jigging. When in doubt, stick with a solid ring. That's it. Okay. Now the only difference that we have here is that there's kind of some solid rings that are used more on fast jigs than they are with slow jigs because they're not as stealthy. And with slow jigging, you need to be as stealthy as possible. Okay, so if you're new to this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We cover everything from big game, ultralight, everything in the middle, including fly fishing. And man, I kind of made a mistake there. Huh? If you think that you've done it 1,000 times, you'd be like an expert at it. But anyway, so the connections: solid ring, split ring to the jig. For fast jigs, it's pretty straightforward, and um, there's one big difference. Okay, so we have that right there. Okay, let me actually focus on it so that you can see. Okay, so pretty straightforward, as you can see here. Okay, now you have your solid ring and then your split ring. So split ring, solid ring, and then you tie your knot there. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, not like this. All right, so if you put a swivel on here, okay, or another solid ring, look what happens. Your hook's not in the right place. Okay, here's the thing: when these jigs move, they actually go like that. If they're going sideways, they're going like that because that's the flat side, that's the planing side. And what you want is for this to be there, because most of the time the fish will actually bite it like that or like that. If it's like this, when they bite, okay, boom, see? You get it? So if it's like that, if it's on the side like this, if they bite, it's like that, okay? It literally folds it away. Whereas if it's on the side like that, when it bites, it's like that. It grabs it, fish grabs it. See? Sorry, like that. There. Okay. So at least that's how it was explained to me. But it seems to be consistent. Right? Okay. So when you're actually jigging, you'll see that the bites of the fish are here and not here. Most of the time, you'll find that the bites are here. So again, if you have your hooks here, boom. Now, you might ask, but slow jigging, slow jig hooks are designed so that they're like this. But this one, if you actually see, and same thing, if it's like that, it's gonna hide. It's gonna hide the body. So how are you gonna hook? But if it's outside like that, okay, then boom. So okay, so that's why connections matter. Okay, so um people might be asking, what about swivels? So, you have this type of jig, and then you have this type of jig. Okay. Again, like I said, when in doubt, solid ring. But okay, like that. And then there are types of jigs that, again, asymmetrical. Okay. So, asymmetrical jigs, you can actually put swivels on asymmetrical jigs because they kind of work better with asymmetrical jigs. These are designed to flutter, and if they're longer, they actually slide a bit or do a backslide. So if you have a swivel there, you actually get like a little bit of extra motion. That's it. You know, there are swivels that are specially built wherein their ball bearing, this is just an illustration, but the eyes are big. Okay, so something big, and then the bodies would be like smaller. So it would have a small body. Example, it would be, this is a normal swivel. The eye is big on one side. Okay, like that. Owner makes them. I think Decoy makes them. Really, it's just extra movement, and they are actually more useful for asymmetrical jigs and also jigs that are shorter. So there's jigs that are kind of short and fat that are fast jigs. Like a very good example would be the Gomoku Thunder jig. So something like that, or there's like the old Shimano butterflies as well. So those, you could use a swivel with those, and you actually get a little bit of an extra movement, but pretty much that's it. Okay, so here I've rigged this for you guys just so that we have an example. That works, you know, but again, there's that risk of that happening, and you don't hook the fish. So uh, you can do it. I'm pretty sure that people will probably argue that it is something that they do and catch fish on regularly, but for me, it's just not worth the risk. Um, I have in the past actually tied onto uh, the solid ring directly as a, well, tied onto the swivel like a solid ring. There we go. So I made an assist hook there, okay, and then attached the jig via split ring there. So basically, I have the swivel integrated with the assist hook. Yeah, it worked. In fact, I caught a coral trout doing that, a big one, back in the Philippines. Do I do that now? It's like, no, I'd rather use something like a solid ring. This is something that I've actually kind of I've been uh, reassessing how I do things, and the simplest ways of doing things seem to work a lot more. So less is more. Okay, now of course there's different types of solid rings. There are, okay, stainless steel solid rings there, your usual, okay, and then you have one of my favorites, the pear-shaped, and this is made by Decoy. They are extremely strong, and they're pear-shaped. Okay, so the advantage is you can tie your line there, and you can have your hook, or sorry, your assist hook here and your jig, and they're not gonna bother your knot. So your knot is more protected. Okay, now old school, and I've been keeping this old school oval rings. Okay, they were also used now with the same idea. You have your assist cords here. You have your hook, your split ring, and then your jig there, and it gives a lot of distance between the jig and the knot. And then figure eights. Okay, so figure eights, basically what it is that it separates the where you tie your line and where you put your jig. So it's a smaller eye so that you can tie your knots there securely, and it's totally separate. See, the thing is, and a lot of people think that this really happens. Okay, so your jig's movement, it could be moving and hitting the knot with the split ring as the jig is actually moving. and it weakens. If you could imagine, if this is the solid ring, it weakens that nut right there, or the loop right there. Okay, so if you could see there, so it weakens the inside. So this bit right here, right here. So, and if that's steel going against nylon, so after a while, um, a lot of people believe, okay, that you know it weakens that part, and your fish of a lifetime actually gets away. And you know what? A reality when it comes to fast jigs, you lose a lot if you're not careful. So a lot of people, especially for monster hunters, they do that. Now, for us here, what's more practical? Because we don't monster hunt. Okay, we don't go out there because we know that the monsters here are rare. So something super simplistic such as this is what we use. Okay, now it's the same thing that I do for fast and slow jigs. I match the eye of the jig with the size of the solid ring and split ring. Okay, if you want to go down the size, that's fine. But if you go up, there's actually a kind of a danger. Okay, now here's bringing it almost to the edge right here. You can see. Okay, now if I used a split ring that would be bigger than this, than what I already have here, what would happen is that it will not fit and it will go like that. And you don't want that. Okay. So having something like that, okay, it's barely fitting there, okay? And that's still okay. But normally I'd put something smaller there. Now, very important note about split rings on fast jigs. Okay, the solid ring is where you actually put your leader. I have a video that talks about that. Okay, so if you tie your knot into that solid ring, okay, this is a solid straight line, and that's why you want to tie it there in the first place. Okay, now here's the fish. It shakes. Okay, and I shake, I shake, I shake like that. As you can see, the jig is not affected. Okay, so I could be hooked up here, violently shaking, and then the fish is not able to use the jig as leverage. Now, when the fish runs, the jig actually kind of acts like a lever. So if it is actually attached to the jig, okay, when the fish runs, you can imagine that this acts as a lever. So it actually helps the fish get away. Assist hooks eliminate that because they can shake all they want, and then the assist cord is just going to move with them. Now, what that also means is that you can get away with a non-load bearing split ring. So, i.e., cheaper or smaller split rings, okay, or just cheaper. But you shouldn't go cheap, super cheap, because guess what? Sometimes when the fish grabs this, okay, like that, and then there's a chance of it shaking, and the force would actually open the split ring. But there are kind of cheaper split rings that are stainless steel, still fishing split rings, that are not as highly rated, and you can totally get away with that because guess what? You're not supposed to tie on to that split ring You put it there. That's also another reason why you don't put a swivel onto that split ring, because majority of the time for fast jigging, you don't use a load bearing split ring. Can you do it? Sure. And then can you do it and put a swivel there? Sure. Like I said in the previous video, you know, even if you put loaves of bread in between, inside the ears of an elephant, how you make your sandwich is none of anyone's business. How you eat that is your business too. But see, here's the thing. If you do that, okay, if you do that and actually uh, lose a fish because maybe, you're not hooking it uh, correctly, or just because you're putting it there, what happens is that you get something like that a lot. That's also part of it. So that's, your prerogative. And if there are things that happen because you put somewhere where it's not supposed to be, then you also deal with the consequences. That's why, for me, okay, best advice I could give you: when in doubt, use a solid ring. Just like that. Okay? That's a nice thumbnail right there. Huh? There we go. How's that for a thumbnail? Okay, so that's it. There's no trick to it. Very easy, straightforward. If you have questions, drop them in the comment section. I might have missed something. Or, if you just want to clarify things, go right ahead and drop them in the comment section. Even if you don't have to, one guy just said, like, roll call attendance. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, just comment. YouTube algorithm would love that, guys. Okay. Like the video if you have learned something, and yeah, if you don't agree, go ahead, say something. I'm pretty sure I missed a few. Like, take for example, there's quite a few other types of um, solid ring. It's just that I don't have them because I don't use them. And sometimes you kind of just look at things and you just go, like, yeah, that's not necessary. But there's a lot of stuff that you can find online in places like AliExpress. They're not bad, but see, here's the thing, right? If I buy from AliExpress, more than likely I would use, like, take for example, if I would buy for bulk split rings, I actually put them in a different box, and they're specifically for fast jigging, because like I said, I don't need high quality split rings for fast jigs. I could just put something that's enough to actually hold the jig, uh, and then a little bit, and guess what? I save money. I don't put swivels. I just use solid rings. That's it. And by the way, those figure eights, they're actually quite strong. Okay, so if you're looking at a figure eight, and if you can, they're not that cheap. That's the problem. I would actually rather do pairs than figure eights, because figure eights are a bit more expensive. They're bulky and they're not as stealthy. But a GP ring, which is the pear-shaped one, as it's stealthier, and you can also use them for slow jigging. So if you actually have a choice of actually buying a GP ring and an F8, buy an F8 if you're purely using it for fast jigging. Okay, if you have the extra money or what. If you want something that you could use on both, choose the pair. Okay. Otherwise, go with the standard circle solid rings. Started with that. Okay. Still using it, and I don't think it's going to disappear anytime soon. Other than that, there's just the color, of the swivels. Some are black, some are silver. There's some red ones as well, green even, metallic colors and stuff. Um, Silver or black, either of those. It's really, there's kind of no effect. We've caught on both, like side by side, so there's hardly a difference there. But that's it. Alrighty. So if you learned something, again, please give it a thumbs up and share this video for those that you think need it. Fishing buddy, family, daughter. My daughter actually watches some of my videos, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, whenever she needs something to understand what I'm trying to say, especially because she's helping me out with some clerical stuff, so she watches the videos. Uh, and then she learns. She goes like, "Oh, that's why you do it." Yeah, there we go. Um, Sons, daughters, cousins, who love the sport, want to understand, and all this, share. It's very important, um, especially for those that are starting out. Okay, if you want to help this channel move forward, go ahead and click that membership button. Okay, and members actually watch the videos first, and I regularly chat with them, get in touch with them, and all that. Um, but yeah, that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you learned something. That's it for now. Class dismissed.